This podcast is brought to you in part by Bradley, a full-service law firm representing clients across the country from 9 offices, including Jackson, Mississippi. Learn more at bradley.com.
Pour yourself a sweet tea, pull up a lawn chair, and turn the page with us. You're listening to Right On Mississippi, a podcast taking you inside the minds of America's most treasured wordsmiths. Hosted by Ebony Lumumba and brought to you by the Mississippi Book Festival, the South's literary lawn party. Chapter 1. Angie Thomas. I am sitting across from my homegirl, one of my favorite young adult authors, Angie Thomas, you all. I feel like there should be in-studio applause. Hey, Angie.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, are you kidding? Thank you for joining me because you are, listen, this pun is intended on the come up. Okay. If y'all don't know what that means, just get into it.
Yeah, I love how you did that. That's dope.
I've been thinking about it all day, very honestly. So let's have a conversation about you. You've been doing a lot of interviews and speaking engagements lately, and folks want to know about your process and they want to know how much of you is star, but I want to know about you. I want to know what you're reading right now, or if you read while you're writing. Let's chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. You know, I try not to read young adult books, especially while I'm writing, because I messed up and I read this one book while I was in the beginning of drafting my second book. Mm-hmm. And it's a book called Long Way Down, and it's by Jason Reynolds. And it's told in verse, and it is absolutely brilliant.
Nice.
It takes place over the course of an elevator ride. This young man, his brother just died, and he wants to get revenge for his brother. And as the elevator is going down, the spirits of people who in his life that he's lost to gun violence get on the elevator and help him sort through his feelings. It's powerful.
Whoa.
You got to add that
just
now.
Stop for a second and let me just meditate on this elevator ride.
You have to get this book, Long Way Down by Jason
Done.
Reynolds. It's brilliant. And it's so brilliant that when I was reading it, I was like, you know what? I quit writing.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, I can't do that.
I'm not this good.
I'm not this good. Right. So I just decided I have to stop reading, especially young adult fiction while I'm writing. But I read a lot of nonfiction sometimes while I'm writing. For The Hate You Give, I read a lot of autobiographies on civil rights leaders.
Like who?
The Malcolm X autobiography.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it's required reading.
Yes. I read Emmett Till's mother's book.
Fantastic.
Which I felt like...
How timely.
Yeah, because here we are talking about a young girl who witnesses something and goes through something. I need to get the perspective of a mother who's been through something similar. So I wanted to get into that and read about her strength and her bravery. The fact that she did what she did with publicizing his photo, that was brave.
Man,
you know,
I mean, it was paradigm shift for the movement and how people felt about circumstances. So she saved generations of folks.
She did
by doing that.
But the thing is, she didn't think she was doing that when she did it. She wanted people to see what happened to her son, to her baby, and so it made me think, when we change the world, we don't always realize we're doing it.
Wow,
you know.
So do you realize what you're doing, Angie? Let's just segue into that. Do you really realize what you're doing? And by that, I mean, you're giving a voice to this movement that has, there have been attempts to silence for generations before it really even became the movement that it is now. But you're giving a voice to a specific demographic, right? To the young people who are in the midst of this, who are the most passionate about it. Do you realize that? Is that in the moment, or are you just producing good art?
I'm just trying to focus on, you know, I try not to think about the big picture too much, especially in the middle of doing it. I try to focus on the smaller overlooked pictures. So when I was writing The Hate You Give, I was really thinking about those kids in Georgetown who were like, I hate reading. They never show me anybody like me. I don't want to read Twilight. My mom would let me date a vampire. What are you talking about? I'm like,
werewolves are not allowed in the house.
Exactly. Like, you know what a black mama would do if I brought home a sparkling vampire? I'm like, I hear you. So I was thinking about them, you know?
Yes.
And then the other conversations where they were like, well, when somebody calls Trayvon Martin a thug, they're like calling me a thug.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about that. So no, I try not to think about big picture.
Sure. It's probably safer.
Yeah.
That way. So you're reading a lot of research for your writing, but what are those things that we wouldn't expect Angie Thomas to really enjoy engaging.
Books or non?
Let's talk about books and music as well.
Books, I do read a lot of nonfiction. I love reading autobiographies. I think autobiographies are some of the most fascinating things because you get a glimpse into people who you've heard about. Like, I read the autobiography of Martin Luther King's son.
Which one?
Dexter.
Yeah.
And it was a good book. And it was just, I love reading that kind of stuff. I also love reading kids' books, not young adult, but younger than that, like middle grade. I love reading middle grade.
Nice.
Like, I'm a big Rick Riordan fan.
Okay.
He did the Percy Jackson series.
Yes.
I love those books. But
Wow.
it's because I feel like, because sometimes I do write about such heavy topics,
things.
I have to still keep in touch with my inner child.
Yeah.
So I allow myself to read that stuff.
Big kid.
Yeah, I play video games. I mean,
Nice. Which these video games are far more advanced
Yes.
than I could ever imagine.
That is true.
Being. I don't understand them, so I cannot. I'm just not good at it, and I'm a sore loser.
you know what? I am too. So
Yeah.
I don't go online and play.
I've broken many a controller.
Really?
Yeah, which probably just dated myself talking about controllers.
No.
Are people
they
still using
yeah.
those? Okay.
No, you would probably still break one.
I would, definitely.
Yeah.
And they're too expensive for that. What music? What is the soundtrack for Angie
Ooh.
Thomas?
Right now, as I'm finishing edits on the Come Up. I've been listening to hip hop, of course, because it's about a rapper. So I've been listening to from Sugar Hill Gang to
So hip hop at
Yes.
its inception.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's broad now. And you have to really define what section of hip hop you're talking about.
Yeah. I listen because, okay, the book is broken down into 3 sections. The first section is old school. The second section is the golden age. And the last section is new school. So I try to listen to music in those different phases of hip hop.
Yes.
So I can get a feel of those, so that feel comes across in those sections.
Old school. Who we
Yeah.
talking? Sugar Hill Gang. Okay. Who else?
Cool Mo D.
Cool Mo D. Yes. This is okay. So
Curtis
let me just
Blow.
say this is the soundtrack of my childhood that Angie just called old school.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's cool. It is quite all right, but that's wonderful because there's a nostalgic quality to that.
Absolutely. And so there's a different feel to that sort of hip hop too. Like Sugar Hill Gang and Migos are 2 different songs.
Man, talk about polar opposites.
Exactly. But I wanted to listen to a lot of that stuff so that those sections have that same feel.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, Public Enemy, LL Cool J.
My gosh.
I know. I listened to
I'm just reminiscing.
Yeah.
This is definitely.
MC Light, Queen Latifah, all of that.
my
I have
favorite
like
female.
I have
MC.
such a long playlist for this book. It's ridiculous.
That is wonderful, and maybe this is something you can look into, right? Can we
Yeah.
get the Hate You Give soundtrack?
Yeah. Well, I have a playlist on Spotify. If you go on my website, on my
Yes.
blog, I have a link to the playlist, and I'm going to put up the playlist for On the Come Up. So I have them both.
Fantastic. And are they
Yes.
very different?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because
How so?
The Hate You Give has a lot of Tupac.
Really?
I mean, you know,
That
I
just
never
makes
would have guessed.
sense, right?
So yeah, I say that playlist. It has also like Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
all of these social justice type songs. So that playlist is totally different. Whereas the On the Come Up playlist is like a pure hip hop. You can't find hardly any R&B on there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Because we don't get a lot of hip hop purists
Yeah.
these days because
Yeah.
everything is kind of merging and the lines are being blurred. But that's fun to know.
Yeah.
So what is Angie Thomas watching
Ooh, what am I
right
watching
now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's into Netflix and chilling. So what does your Netflix chill queue look like?
You know, I got rid of Netflix for a while. I just signed back up because there's a movie I got to watch this weekend called.
And Netflix lets you come back.
Yeah, they do.
You can
So
break up and just make right
Yeah,
back up.
they let me take breaks. So there's a movie called To All the Boys I Loved Before that I got to watch. That's based on the YA. But I love Empire.
Okay. Yes.
I love Empire.
Cookie is your girl.
Yes, like a couple of the actors follow me now and have talked to me and
That's
like
major.
texted me. I'm like, you don't know how big of a fan I am of
Right.
the
You're just
show.
trying to play it cool though. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm-
what's up?
Yeah.
WYD.
How do you do that? I don't know how. I have no chill.
I feel the same way about you, by the way. Like, ooh, Angie liked my
nobody.
photo. I'm cool. I mean
That's
it.
so sweet.
I mean it. It also helps me resonate with the young people that I teach. So it's like, yes, everybody knows what's up.
Yeah, well, you do.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But I get that from you. Like, these things are cool. Know about this. So whether as we laugh, you're setting very specific trends.
Wow.
And I think that is beautiful that you've kind of embraced that, right? Because the trends that you're setting don't necessarily jibe with dominant culture. And it's important, like you said, for the young people from Georgetown and all over who are in these pockets that don't feel represented, to feel represented in someone who is getting sort of these very wonderful accolades for the beautiful work that you're doing. And that doesn't always happen.
Wow.
So we have to take our Mississippi stars and ride them when we can. We're just so glad to have you. Can we talk about...
Thank you. She's got me cheesing. Y'all can't see
We're just going to
like...
be... There's going to be an ugly cry in here any moment. The very Oprah moment. Let's just cry together and hug. But let's talk about the film just a little bit. And of course, not that I don't know if there can be spoilers with a film that's based on a text, but how does that feel?
That's still surreal. Like, this whole process has been surreal. When I was like, it started in late 2015. I got a call and my film agent was like, George Tillman wants to talk to you. Yikes. And for somebody like me who's like a big film buff, Soul Food was like the movie as a kid that I was like, whoa, Black people can tell stories like this, you know?
There it is. It's in that realm of we were getting all of these movies about contemporary Black experiences.
Exactly. And so Barbershop and all these different films he's done. Jones. He's done this. And I'm like, he wants to talk to me? So I got on the phone with him and he was like, he loved the story, loved it, and he was determined to bring it to screen. And to hear him talk about my characters the way he did, he had such a grasp on them. I was learning stuff about my characters listening to him.
Really? Like what? That's interesting.
Yeah, he was, there's one, with Khalil, he was like, and so Khalil in his own way is dealing with his own two worlds. And I was like, you know what?
I totally meant that. You're right.
I'm gonna
put that in there on purpose.
I'm gonna act like I did that. Yeah. But no,
beautiful.
He from the beginning, but he has kept me involved the entire way. And so while he was filming,
that's great.
He wanted to talk to me while they were writing the script. He talked to me. I sat down with him and the screenwriters for hours. Shout out to Tina Mabry, one of the screenwriters on Thug, who's from Mississippi.
All right, Tina.
Yeah, she's from...
Another homegirl.
Yeah, she's from the Delta. And so, yes, Black woman from Mississippi. And
there we go.
Yes, they wanted that too.
I love that.
So I was so happy about that. But he kept me involved. And so even when I went on set, it didn't feel real. It was so surreal. Like my first day on set, they were filming Khalil's funeral scene. And if you know... after the funeral, there's the protest. And so they had all of these extras. But before I get there, I was driving onto set and I'm blocks away from where they're filming. And I had my windows down and I could hear them chanting justice for Khalil. Hundreds of extras.
Wow.
And it was like,
how poetic.
I had to pull over.
It got visceral right then.
And so then I get there and I see all of them on set and I see the sign for the church, which is a name I came up with, and I burst into tears. And my mom was right there, and she's like, girl, if you don't get yourself together, it's just a sign.
Thank God for mama.
Yeah.
Pull it together.
I don't think it's hit me yet. I've seen the movie twice now.
Yeah.
And it still feels like, did that really happen? Am I dreaming? So it's an incredible film, and it's so obvious that every single person was dedicated to getting it right. The entire crew read the book.
Yeah.
You know, Amandla kept a copy on set.
Fantastic.
At all times. She got on George's nerves because she was like, it's not like this in the book. And he was like, but this is for the movie. She's like, I don't care. We're doing it like the book, right?
Wow. Okay. Let's listen. Okay, Star.
She was
really embracing the role altogether. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm amazed.
So the work that you've done has not only been a trendsetter in popular culture, but in the way that these things are produced. That's powerful.
Wow.
That's powerful.
I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, think about it. Just play it off. Of course you thought about that. I was teaching some young people, and I'm teaching your text this semester at Tougaloo College. And I just did an introduction of who you are, the intersections of your identity. And, I mean, their jaws drop.
Oh, wow.
Where you grew up, where you're from, your, not only your educational background, but the fact that you like Jordans and you're a Tupac fan and you went to Belhaven. All of these things that are very real for them.
Yeah.
Some of these things that they relate to instantaneously. And then I talk about the acclaim for your work.
Wow.
And what that does, Angie, and you have to know this, is makes the possibility for their success so much more real for them.
Wow.
So much more real for them. And what is more remarkable than your talent is your humility here. I mean, I wish you all could see. She's completely aghast. And everybody else knows that she's brilliant. Everybody.
This is amazing.
So let's talk about some silly stuff. What kind of habits do you have, especially when you're writing? Are there foods? Is there a drink? And I think Mama is here, so if you don't want to say the drink, we don't have to. But what kind of silly habits? Do you have some special socks? What's up? What's in your process?
Okay, well, I always have to have some iced coffee from Cups. Shout out to Cups.
Shout out to Cups.
Oh my God. I think I'm going to have to write a line in the dedication of On the Come Up and say this book is
Listen, let's name it the Angie, whatever drink you guys are going to formulate.
I always have to have that. I have an office, but I always lie across the bed in my guest room and write.
That's your space.
That's my space. Yeah. I just started though going into my office. Sometimes I will start out listening to music. It depends on like what artist is the huge influence on this book at the time. I'll start out listening to that, then I'll go into writing. So like with Thug, of course, it was Pac, but with this one it's Biggie.
Wow.
Which is, I know, that's
Come on and just completely shake up our worlds and write a book about Pac and then a book inspired by Biggie.
His artistry more so. Because I like to focus on that with Big. I don't, he wasn't like Pac in the sense Pac was out there and spoke out
very
on
different
stuff.
personalities.
Big was like, I'm here to get money. But I focus on the way he rapped. He was so skillful, his flow and his lyricism. And so I focus on that. So I listen to that a little bit first. And then I start writing. And a lot of times if I can't figure out something, I go walk around the house.
Okay. Actually get moving to get the creative juices flowing.
My mom calls it the writing walk. No, the writing pace.
The writing pace.
The writing pace.
That's a
and
lovely.
So, or I'll do something else and then like take out the trash or something like that. Then I get back to it.
Just walk away from it.
Yeah. And if it's real bad, I go play a video game.
There we go.
Yeah.
With these video games. And throwing controllers.
Yeah. So it's been weird though because of the travel schedule.
Yeah.
It's hard to find time to write these days. I'll be home for a month. This is as long as I've been home. Since this started,
What do you have to have at home? I mean, what are those things that I'm back at home, I'm in Jackson, I need this? We got the Cups coffee. What else?
Food wise
Yes.
or okay.
Food, where do you need to go shop? Where do you need to be?
I have to get at some point. I have to get Primo's caramel cake.
Okay, let's just go all the way decadent.
High
fives are going on around the room about this caramel cake.
You have to get it. Let's see. I'm a Target shopper.
Target.
I've seen you in Target.
Yes, I was about to say she's about to blow up my spot because if I ever go missing, you will find me in Target.
Yeah, so I have to go in Target every now and then.
Yeah. Just walk around. That's my walking. That's my writing pace.
Yeah, and I love fondring. I just love going in fondring, like the different restaurants and stuff. I love
wonderful
fondring.
Community.
Yeah, so I definitely have to do that. I like driving around near Belhaven sometimes. So
So back to your roots, right? Very rooted in Jackson, in these iconic sort of neighborhoods that we have in historic spaces. So as you grow in your writing and in your career, as it continues to rise, where are you going, Angie?
What do you like?
Where do you want to go? Where do you see this going? How is your writing developing in terms of next projects? What do you hope to see out of yourself?
I plan to keep with young adult books for a little while.
Great.
Then I eventually want to do middle grade for the younger kids.
Yes.
I want and not books about struggle with them. I just want them to see themselves as heroes.
Some joy.
I want Black kids to see themselves as the heroes in the narrative. And eventually, because I feel like as a young adult author, while I feel like I'm a kid at heart, I know that eventually I'm going to have a disconnect. And that may be when I step back from doing YA. This is not to say anybody's too old to do YA, but I know me, and so what I'd rather love to do, my goal is to become a producer. And I plan, and I plan to option marginalized authors of young adult fiction in their works and bring those works to the screen. So if I'm not writing the stuff myself, I can at least put the backing behind these projects that are speaking to young people at that time so that they can get on a wider scale.
We might not be able to wait for you to do that. I mean, let's just start this now.
I would love to. That's a goal. So that's a goal for the next 10 years at least.
That is quite a goal, and I think that you'll achieve it far earlier than
Thank you.
than 10 years for sure. A colleague of mine and a student of mine confessed that they cried when they read Thug.
Wow.
Yeah, they did. And it's funny, the student said her roommate walked in on her and thought, well, maybe we need to call campus security. What's happening? But folks have had this sort of very beautiful, visceral response to your art. What have you experienced in terms of people confessing to you how your work has affected them?
Well, okay, there's always, I have to point this out because it's kind of funny to me. There are people who act as if Star's story is my story.
Yeah.
For the record, I didn't go through what she went through. So y'all don't have to come hugging me saying, I'm so sorry you dealt with that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Let's just, spoiler alert message.
Yes.
Star is a fictional character.
Exactly. Thank you. But I've had I love every time Black kids especially come up to me and they're like, this is the first time I've read a book from beginning to end. This is the first time I've seen myself in a book.
Yes.
Garden Heights is my neighborhood. And the kids in Jackson take it further. They're like, that's Verdant Edition, ain't it? That's
ownership.
Like, that's Jackson Prep. That's JA. Yeah. And I just let them think it. It's whatever.
I did a little of that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Jackson kid, right?
Yeah.
I grew up right here.
Yeah. So those are always good. And then when I have people I never would have expected to read this book.
Yeah.
Like I've had older white women. A 90-year-old white woman told me she loved this book. She read it, and now when she's on the public transit, if she sees young kids in Jordan, she starts conversations like, those are those Space Jams, aren't they? I'm like, what?
Stop it and change the world. Why don't you, Angie Thomas? I love this. You are bridging generational gaps. Limitless.
I'm amazed. I'm honored that people are using my work to do that.
Well, we are honored that you've shared your work. Listen, this is right on Mississippi, so we focus on our state and all of the beautiful representations of the literary arts that come out of this space. So just share with us, lastly, with our listeners, what Mississippi means to you.
Ooh, Mississippi to me means growth and change. People don't associate with us that often, but I see it. I see signs of it every single day. So to me, Mississippi means that. And when Mississippi changes, the world will change. Right
here in the belly of the beast. If we can achieve that.
Yes.
Then there's hope for everyone else.
Exactly.
I concur. And I would steal all of that if it wasn't recorded.
I give you permission to
Thank
use
you.
it.
I'll at least give you a footnote, something like that. I won't be completely selfish. Angie, you are a joy. This has been a joy. And we are so excited to just watch you burgeon and blossom more and more into this gift that God has given you. And thank you for taking our state with you into all of these boardrooms and studios and all of the wonderful places you get to go.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been Right On Mississippi. Angie, right on.
All right.
We want to thank Angie Thomas for joining us today. Be sure to visit your local bookstore to purchase her works and keep up with her online by checking out the links in the description. Right On Mississippi is brought to you by the Mississippi Book Festival and Bradley Arendt and produced by Podastery Studios. Our guest for this episode was Angie Thomas. Our editor was Joshua Heath, producer Holly Lang, executive producer Bo York, and I've been your host, Ebony Lumumba. We look forward to turning the page with you on the next chapter of Right On Mississippi.